Welcome back to the Bourbon Note, everybody. I'm Ben. I've got a banger on the bar tonight. Let's get into it. All right, so tonight on the bar, I've got, bam, this is Old Grandad 16 year. So this bourbon is the one that I was hunting for most this year. When I first heard that they were coming out with a 16-year Old Grandad, I was immediately interested. I like Old Grandad as a brand, but it's kind of a budget brand. All of their products are very budget friendly. They're really good, but I was very interested to kind of see like a premium level Old Grandad come out. And so when I saw this one, I just had to pull the trigger on it. Now, it does come with a $180 to $200 price point. I did pay $200 for this. I don't normally do that. But I finally saw it, and it was just sitting right there in front of me, and I just couldn't pass it up. So I dropped the money, brought the bottle home. Hopefully the whiskey lives up to the $200 price point. Most whiskeys don't, to be perfectly honest. There is a point of diminishing returns where you're just kind of paying for the opportunity to have the bottle. So anyway, this one comes in at 100 proof, high rye mash bill from Jim Beam. And the other thing about this one is I have seen some reviews about it, and to be honest, people aren't really singing its praises too much. I haven't really seen anybody who's super into this one. So that did make me a little bit hesitant to buy it, but again, the second I heard that they were making this, I knew I wanted a bottle. When I finally saw one, I just couldn't pass it up. So on the nose right away, this is just all spice. There's oak spice, there's cinnamon, a good amount of rye spice. You could almost convince me on the nose that this may be a rye whiskey. But it has like a, it smells old. In the sense that I've used that terminology before, like it just smells kind of old and dusty. I've never actually been in a rick house before. I need to take a trip and go on like a distillery tour, but it smells like what I would picture an old rick house smelling like the wood and the oak and like just like the old dusty, I don't know. It smells old, if that makes any sense. Little bit of a kind of a dark leathery note to it. But for the most part, this thing is all spice up front. I'm not getting a ton of sweetness on the nose, but I like it. I'm here for it. Cinnamon is a very typical note I get from Old Grandad. It's maybe one of the more cinnamon forward bourbons, at least for me. And so it's kind of got some fall holiday vibes to it. Well, let's get into the palate. Cheers. That is, just like the nose, that is all spice. Like right up front, it's oak spice, it's that rye spice, it's some black pepper, cinnamon. There is not a ton of sweetness on this one. This has got a sharp edge to it, not necessarily in a bad way, but it's got the rye spice. It definitely has the age. It's got the oak. If you're not a person who's super into a heavily oaked bourbon, this might not be for you because it doesn't really have the sweet notes to kind of smooth out that oak bite. But it's not, to me, it's not over oaked at all. I actually really like it based on the first sip here. It's a little tannic and drying, but to be honest, this is really just a spice forward bourbon. And so if that's your jam, you may want to find one of these. Let's go in for another sip, because I got to explore this one more. That was very interesting. Cheers. So that's, yeah, on the second sip again, up front, that's just a ton of oak spice, rye spice, black pepper. And then on the mid palate, there is a little bit of like those rye notes, a little bit of like a light clove, nutmeg sort of vibe, definitely the cinnamon. So this is, if you're into sweet bourbons only, this is probably not the one for you. If you like a good, bold, spicy bourbon, this is definitely gonna be for you. It definitely drinks stronger than the 100 proof point would suggest. That was another one of the things I kind of looked at when I was buying it. Is like, all right, it's 100 proof, I'm spending $200. I know proof isn't everything, obviously, so you're getting the 16-year age statement, so you're gonna pay for that. Then it's kind of like, okay, it's 100 proof, or it's not cask strength. Is it really gonna be, you know, bold enough that it warrants the price point? And I think the $200 price point is suggestive. I mean, that's just up to you if you want to spend 200 bucks on a bourbon. But the 100 proof is definitely not too low. I think if you went cask strength with this thing, it might actually be overwhelming, because it definitely drinks hotter and stronger and more bold than 100 proof would suggest. But that being said, it's not too much of like a roller coaster of flavors. It's just kind of, it's good at what it does. And if you like what it does, you're gonna love this bourbon. Yeah, that's just a spice all day long. Let's go in for one more sip before we get out of here. Yeah, that's the Old Grandad profile turned up to 11, maybe turned up to 15. It drinks like an old, well-aged premium bourbon. It really does. It's got a pretty good mouthfeel to it. It has some of those dark, rich, kind of leathery notes underneath that I tend to find on older age bourbons. Overall, I think it's really good. I think that I'm enjoying this more than I thought I would based on some of the reviews I've seen about it. So that's a nice surprise. Because like I said, I did kind of consider that when I was, you know, gonna shell out the 200 bucks for it. I had seen some reviews and people were like, doesn't really live up to hype or whatever, but I think this is actually a really great bourbon. But it definitely has a specific profile. It's all spice, all day long. Oak spice, pepper spice, rye spice. Hate to repeat myself, but that really just is what this is. But it does come with that kind of premium bourbon drinking experience. I will give it that. And so, you know, I think it's great. Is it worth $200? I don't know. Again, like I said at the beginning, I don't know how many bourbons out there really are worth $200. But so that's something you're just gonna have to, you know, make a decision on. But if you see this, if you like a well-aged bourbon and you like a spicy, hot profile, this is one for you, for sure. If you like the general Old Grandad profile and you wanna see what it's like turned up to 11, I would definitely check this one out. So anyway, let me know in the comments if you've had this one, what you think. If you're on my side of the fence on it, where you think it's a great bourbon, or if you're on a lot of other people's side of the fence where it's like, it's just not really there. So I don't know. This was a pleasant surprise for me. So anyway, this has been Old Grandad 16-year on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you on the next one.